pursuing his bachelor's in India. Academically, Advaita's Pran Prabhuji holds a master's in industrial and operations from the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and works as manager for business strategy at DTE. He has been actively rendering services at ISKCON temples of Michigan, serving Shri Shri Radha Kunja Bihari as a pujari for over a decade, conducting Bhakti Riksha and Sankirtan in neighboring areas, and most importantly, restoring Srila Prabhupada's Fate Museum. With that, I would like to thank you, Prabhuji, for accepting our invitation for weekly Bhagavad Gita call. And on behalf of Partsarthi Foundation, we would like to once again welcome you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Prabhuji will be enlightening us today on chapter 7, verses 20, 21, and 22. Prabhuji, we now hand over the call to you. You can take over. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Aradhana Mataji. Very grateful. I'm very grateful to His Grace Harlila Prabhu and also Pradyumna Prabhu for this opportunity. Of course, for Prema Priya Padma Mataji also for giving me this opportunity to speak Krishna Katha. Very grateful. Hare Krishna. So before we begin, we will start with Jai Radha Madhava and some invocation prayers. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. So today we will be reading the section of the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, verses 20, 21, and 22. So, Jnana Vijnana Yogo Nama Sapta Adhyayaha. So, here Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. He's saying, Kamastairtair Hritagnyata Prapadyantas Anya Devata Tam Tam Niyamam Asthaya Prakritya Niyata Svaya. Let me share my screen so we can read it on the screen as well together. Kamastairtair Hritagnyana Prapadyantasya Anya Devata Tam Tam Niyamam Asthaya Prakrita Niyata Svaya. So Krishna is saying that those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. So kamas tastair hrita jnana. So kama, out of desire, when their knowledge or jnana has been deprived, what do? Prapadyante. They surrender anya devata to other devatas. And what happens? Tam tam niyamam asthaya. So they follow the rules and regulations of those specific demigods or devatas according to those natures. And what happens after that? Krishna describes in the next verse here, yo yo yam yam tanum bhakta shraddhayar chitum ichchati tasya tasya chalam shraddham tam eva vidadamyaham. So Krishna says that I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod or devata, then I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. Though yo yo yam yam tanum bhakta. So that form of the devata, tanum bhakta, when he worships that devata with shraddha, with faith, shraddhayarchitum, and with architum, he worships the devata, and that desire is in that devotee's heart, then tasya tasyachalam shraddham, his achalam shraddham, so his faith is made very steady. By whom? By Krishna himself, who is the super soul or the Paramatma in the heart of that devotee. And then what happens? The next verse here describes that sa taya shraddhaya uktas tasya radhanam ihate labhate cha tatha kaman mayaiva vihitan hitan. So Krishna says, when the devotee is endowed with such a faith, he endeavors to worship a particular demigod. And what happens? He obtains his desires. Labhate cha tatha kaman. So the desires that he came with, kamastair hridagnyata. So that devotee, he came with a specific desire to obtain from a devata. That he finally obtains from the devata. But actually Krishna is saying, mayaiva vihitanitan. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. So what are we seeing here? Here we are seeing that there is this person who is having kama or desire to acquire something. And with that desire, he is approaching the devata because he thinks this devata is bigger, as Prabhupada explains in the purport, and more powerful than the Supreme Lord. He is not surrendering to Krishna. He instead wants to surrender to the devata. And what happens? Krishna is not only fueling that shraddha that the devotee has to the devata, being the super soul. Why? Krishna is Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Vidadati Kaman. Krishna is sitting in her heart. Hridesh Arjuna Tishtati. As he is sitting, he is fulfilling all of our desires, whatever those desires might be, because he has given us this independent free will. So he is doing this. And later in the 9th chapter also, Krishna basically describes that avidhi purvakam, that this worship to the devata is actually an indirect worship to Krishna himself. So Krishna is saying, so although it's an indirect worship, Krishna is facilitating that worship, sitting in his heart. And the 3rd verse describes that Krishna is, of course, in the heart of the devata also, who is giving the benedictions. And the devata knows that. But this devotee is unaware that Krishna is actually sitting in his heart and facilitating this whole transaction. The devata is aware, and the devata gives what he has received from Krishna. So Krishna is only passing this on through the devata. So this is the section of the Bhagavad Gita. So in the next 45 minutes to 1 hour, we will discuss 4 parts to this. I was thinking the first part will be the different levels of devotees that Krishna has been presenting here in the Bhagavad Gita in a very beautiful, interesting manner. And we will see who are the devatas and who is Krishna in a very logical manner that we can explain to even a non-devotee. And then we will see, why will these people surrender to these devatas? Why not to Krishna? What is lacking? Why are they not surrendering to Krishna? We will try to understand that, because Krishna says that akama sarva kamova moksha kama udaradi. Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusha para. Whether you have no material desires or sarva kamova or lot of desires, come to me only. Even moksha kama, you come to me. Very quickly through bhakti yoga, I will fulfill all of it. But these people don't want to go to Krishna. They want to go to the devatas. Why? Let's understand that. And the last part we will discuss, as devotees, what is the role of a devata in our lives? How do we approach these devatas? What is the vision of these devatas that we should have to get the mercy of the Lord? In what mood? So with that, we will begin. I have a few slides that I've just put together. Again, I apologize. I was busy with some services, so I didn't get a chance to build detailed slides. But as we're going through certain sections, I will share my screen. So with that, probably I can share one slide right now. So here, what is happening? Krishna is describing that there are different levels of devotees, right? We will start with the topmost level, which was level 1, which Krishna just described in the previous verse. Here, Krishna says that Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamati Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. So, Krishna is saying this devotee is amazing. Who is amazing? He's saying he's a Mahatma. One who understands that Vasudeva Sarvamiti, that I, son of Vasudeva, me, Krishna, Vasudeva, I am all in all. Some Mahatma, Sudurlabha, he's very, very rare to get, this person. Who is this person? What happens? Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate. This Jnani, or this person having knowledge of himself and developing knowledge about Krishna, is aspiring mukti. What is mukti? Mukti means liberation. Even in mukti, the I-ness is there. It is about me. I am frustrated with this material world. I belong to a different platform, not just this material platform. And that Lord is also spiritual. I am spiritual. So I want to merge into the Lord because, or Brahman, effulgence of the Lord, because I am frustrated with this world, right? So this Jnani has come to this realization. But now he's gradually, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, after so many lifetimes, he is understanding that this Supreme is just not effulgence or light, but he's a person. I can develop a relationship with him. And he understands that this person is Vasudeva. He is Krishna. And he develops that relationship with Krishna. Initially, bhukti or material desire is about me. I want to enjoy and I want to use religion or anything to get material gratification, bhukti. Then mukti. I am frustrated, so I want happiness. I want to get rid of all of this unhappiness. That is also me-centered mukti. Now bhakti, which is the highest, is not about me. Huh? Yeah, it is about Krishna. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitam, jagadisha kame. Yatha tatha va vidadatu lampato. Krishna, you embrace me or reject me. Whether I'm in happiness or distress, it doesn't matter. If you are happy, that's all I want. Devotional service to the Lord. So, Madhusudan Saraswati was a big impersonalist, sannyasi. He had 60,000 to 100,000 disciples. And he was a jnani. He had not realized the bhakti mellow of relationship with Krishna. He had so many disciples, they would ask at their annual symposium in Kashi. They would ask, Guru Maharaj, please share with us some new realizations. Explain the attribute of the attributeless. Explain the form of the formless. Explain the leela of the leelaless. Such discussion is actually useless. But they would ask and he would explain the impersonal philosophy of the Lord. And finally, when he came to Vrindavan, he touched the holy dust of Vrindavan. He got the Devotees Association of Braj-dham. Mukti kahe Gopal se. Mera mukti bataye. मुक्ति कहे गोपाल से मेरा मुक्ति बताए ब्रज का धूली मस्तक पे लगे और मुक्ति मुक्त हो जाए. So you go beyond mukti to pure devotional service, and he started swimming in the beautiful pastimes of Radha Krishna by the mercy of the devotees. And the next year when he went back for the annual symposium, all these 60,000 sannyasis are asking, please describe again what new realizations you have had, Guru Maharaj. And he's telling that Vamshi Vibhushita Karan Navaniradavan Pitambara Daruda Bimba Phaladharoshta Punendu Sundara Mukatara Vinda Netra Krishnat Param Tatvam Aham na jane. Kimapi na jane. Krishnat Param Tatvam. There is nobody greater than Krishna. I don't know anything. All I know is that person who has beautiful eyes like Aravinda Netra, like a lotus petal, that person who is having lips like that of a bimba fruit, which is freshly cut and beautiful red and bimba fruit. That person who's holding Vamshi Vibhushita Karan. I don't know if the flute is decorating his beautiful fingers or his fingers is decorating the flute. Like a fresh monsoon cloud, wearing Pitambara Vastra. That person, Krishna Param Tattvam Kimapi Aham na jane. Vasudeva Sarvamiti. This person has understood that Vasudeva Sarvamiti, and he is swimming in an ocean of bliss. So what happens? This jnani who has now entered Vrindavan, has now understood the essence of all truth is to love Krishna in Bhakti Yoga. And this jnani is now Bhaunam Janmanamante. He is walking along the pathways of Vrindavan Dham, and he's telling, Suno Sakhi, oh Sakhis of Vrindavan, listen to me. I have discovered something. Kautukam ekam. Something is amazing. And these gopis, who are simple cowherd girls in Vrindavan, they're asking, what is this? You're walking like a zombie, like a madman. What have you discovered? He says, Nandaniketan angane maya drishtam goduli dhusaritam. I have seen something in the angana of Nanda Maharaj. Nandaniketan angane maya drishtam. And that whom I have seen, goduli dhusaritam, he's smeared by the dust that has arisen by the hooves of the cows. And that is Nrityanti, that person is dancing. Vedanta Siddhanta. I have been trying to find the end of Vedanta. And finally I found that person. And that is this Krishna. This own Vasudeva Krishna, Nandana Krishna, who is dancing in the courtyard of Vrindavan Dham. And the gopis are thinking, what is this mad person? He's not understanding. This guy is a thief. He is always telling lies. When he steals butter and we catch him, he tells us that you are not the thief. I am not the thief, you're the thief. Not only the butter in your butter pots, but the planets in the neighboring universe also belongs to me. And you're claiming that this belongs to you? And he lies like this. Right? Krishna is saying, Bhoktaram Yagnasapasam Sarvalokam Maheshwaram. He's speaking the absolute truth, but in so much rasa. So these Brajavasis, in complete love, they are enamored and they don't understand Krishna as God. And non-devotees, covered by Mahamaya, don't understand Krishna as God. But to say the least, the top level here in Bhagavad Gita that Krishna has presented is that one who understands that the essence is bhakti, that person is the best, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. So that Krishna has described. Actually, when Krishna comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then he takes it 2, 3, 4 notches higher. Mahaprabhu says, this is only external. Tell me more, tell me more. He's speaking to Ramananda Rai. Who is Arjuna? They're exchanging roles. And he goes beyond bhakti to prema. And then he goes to the gopis of Vrindavan and to Srimati Radharani. But we won't go there because in Bhagavad Gita right now we will discuss this section. But Mahaprabhu is actually listening. And Prabhu kahe, aage kahe, sunite pae sukhe, apurva amrita nadi vahe tumar mukhe. Please describe what is beyond this. And Ramananda Rai, who is Krishna, who is Arjuna, along with Vishaka, who is Anuradha, is describing more and more truths. But that will be another section. But now for this, we have understood now that this person who has understood that Krishna is all in all, Vasudeva Sarvamiti, Krishna is saying, I will give you Bharat Ratna or Krishna Ratna. Right? He is number one. Then Krishna says, these people, and we probably discussed this earlier also in this in one of the other sessions, that Arthi, Jignasi, Artharthi or Jnani. So these are the 4 people who have come to Krishna but with some other desires. But they have come nevertheless to Krishna. And Krishna says they are level 2 because they have also approached me rather than approaching anybody else. And Krishna says that if you have approached me with devotion, it does not matter. You may have so many fallacies, so many problems, so many impurities, so many disqualifications. It does not matter. Krishna says, Bhaktya tushyati kevalam natu gunair bhakti priyo madhava. Only bhakti is very priya, dear to Madhava. Vyadyasya charanam dhruvasya ka vayo vidya gajendrasya ka kubjaya kimunama rupamadikam kim tat sudamno dhanam. Vamshoko vidurasya edupater ugrasya kim paurusham. Krishna is saying nothing matters. Only devotion and coming to me matters with sincerity and seriousness. Vyadyasya charanam. If I had looked at the character or acharan of the hunter, how could he become Valmiki? Just by chanting the names of Mara, Mara, Mara. Dhruvasya ka vayo. If it's only some age that really mattered to me, then how did Dhruva get mercy? Vidya Gajendrasya ka. If you think studying all of these in great detail and learning is the only way, how did Gajendra, an animal, get mercy? Kubjaya kimunama rupamadikam. You don't need to have bodily beauty. Kubja got mercy. Kim tat sudamno dhanam. By giving donation? No. Sudama got mercy. Ugrasya kim paurusham. Prowess is also something Krishna doesn't see. Ugrasen, who was imprisoned by his own son Kamsa, got mercy. And Vamsha ko vidurasya. What is the need of a high lineage? Even Vidura got mercy of the Lord. So somehow or the other, ena kena prakarena, mana Krishna niveshayat. So if you come to Krishna, even with these other desires, they get purified. Krishna, as he sees fit, purifies the person along with fulfilling the desire. So much so that Dhruva Maharaj is saying, Sthana bilashi tapasi stitoham tvam praptavan deva munindra guhyam. You are so secretive that you cannot be even understood by devas or munis. And you have come before me. Although I have desired sthana abhilashi tapasi stitoham. Tapas kiya, sthan ka abhilash mein. Anya abhilashita shunya is bhakti. No other desire but to serve Krishna. But I have come with sthana abhilashi tapasi stitoham. I have gotten you. Tvam praptavan deva munindra guhyam kachin vichinvan apidivya ratnam. I am looking for broken pieces of glass, but I have got the most precious stone. So Krishna sees what really helps the devotee in the long run. In the Bhagavatam, Prabhupada writes in purports that Krishna sometimes, if you're deserving based on your past karma to get some opulence, if you are trying to be a devotee, Krishna might not give that to you. Don't think you're not getting it now because you don't have the good karma for it. Maybe Krishna thinks if you get it and that will distract you away from bhakti, Krishna will not give. Sometimes Krishna might give you something where you are not deserving. And that, Prabhupada says, don't think it's my good karma. That is Krishna's mercy on you. And that is not just by your karma. It's funny, I was reading this section many years ago, and I was working on this Fate Museum theater exhibit. Janmashtami was coming. I was working day in, day out, and I didn't do my work properly. And I got an email from my boss. He said, I need to see you in the morning. Something is very important at work. Many people during that time, during the session, were getting fired. I thought, Are Gaya Krishna, kya karu? Then when I read the section, then I said, I don't know. Agar kuch pura jayega ya lottery lagega. And that morning, they called me at 6:30 and they gave me the employee of the company award. And I had not worked for the last 2 weeks. All emails unanswered. I'm like, Krishna, this is a humor from you. This is an irony. This is just your humor on me. So sometimes Krishna, then I realize I don't deserve this, but Krishna is just sometimes when Krishna gives, we don't deserve. So Krishna knows what to give, what not to give. He's like that loving mother. But devatas are like shopkeepers, right? If you pay them, they will give, right? They get their payment and they give whatever you want. They don't see whether it's good for you or bad for you. One day, Haridas Prabhu, one of Prabhupada's disciples, it's a long story, but talking about this section, he was a thief in Bombay, in the prisons of Bombay, and he had seen Prabhupada wearing a Rolex watch on the back cover of the BTG magazine, and he came looking for Prabhupada to get the Rolex watch, and of course, Prabhupada's mercy just melted his heart, and he became a devotee. But he still had desire to eat chocolate. He had desire to steal some money from the temple bhoga to get something for himself. And Prabhupada was sitting in the quarters of Radha Rasbihari temple in Juhu back then in the 70s. And he's walking by and he bought some vegetables for the bhoga. And in his bead bag, he had hidden a 5-star chocolate that also he bought with him. And he pays obeisance to Prabhupada. Of course, Prabhupada is sitting there. He has to walk through Prabhupada's quarters to go there to the kitchen. And this 5-star chocolate falls out. And Prabhupada sees, and Prabhupada said, what is that, Haridas? He says, Prabhupada, I got this for you. And he gives it to Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, oh, thank you. And Prabhupada takes a bite. Prabhupada said, what is this? This is karmi grain. This is chocolate. Devotees don't eat this. You can't offer it to Krishna. He said, Prabhupada, but I like sweets. So Prabhupada said, don't worry, come. And Prabhupada got up and Prabhupada with his own hands made this most amazing ISKCON halwa. He ate it from Prabhupada's own hands that Prabhupada made with love, and it completely melted his heart. And that was the last time he ever ate a chocolate outside. Okay? So that love of Prabhupada, that love of our mother, that love of the care for the devotee is Krishna's care as he's fulfilling the desires also of the devotees. But devatas, they will fulfill whatever the desire of the devotee is based on what reciprocation they get. So that is the second level of devotee. Now coming to these verses here, where Krishna is saying those who are desiring material sense gratification, kama, they come to the devatas. So now, taking a step back, right? We know that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and devatas are living entities like you and I, and they have gotten certain positions based on their desires and their past karma. Now, you might have had friends who are saying, "Are ISKCON mein jate ho, pura Krishna Krishna hi hota hai." You just think Krishna is all in all, and you just say others are demigods. What is this, right? Prabhupada said International Society for Krishna consciousness. Devotees were saying, Prabhupada, right? God consciousness. So more people might come. Prabhupada said, no, people need to know that Krishna is God, the supreme personality of Godhead. It is so ironical that people, right? Every other thing they take for granted. They don't question. If we ask someone, what is the most important meal for the day? What would you say? Probably breakfast, right? Someone might say breakfast. That's what we think, right? That's what is advertised. We never question. Actually, John Harvey Kellogg in 1917, he published this article in a magazine to basically say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And he, of course, as you can guess, was the CEO and founder of Kellogg's, our cornflakes, our cereals. And since people accepted it, his business went off the roof and Kellogg's made billions of dollars out of this. Actually, if you think about it, Krishna also says that aham vaishwanaro bhutva praninam deham ashritaha pana samayuktaha pachantanyam chaturvidham, that the fire of digestion, which is Krishna, is when the sun is at the highest at noon time. But we have accepted it. Monday haya Sunday roj khao. What? It should be khichdi, right? But Ande, people say, and everybody accepted. It's the menstrual waste of a hen. But people don't even care. They accept whatever is told. Tan ki shakti, man ki shakti is Bonvita. No, it's milk, Krishna says, Prabhupada says. But the Bonvita has only sugar, more sugar, and hardly any protein. Where is that? We accept whatever the advertisements say. But when Krishna is saying something, scriptures say, we have all questions. So here Bhagavatam says, Yam Brahma Varuna Indra Rudra Marutaha Stunvantini Vestavaihi. All the devatas are saying that Krishna is the supreme. Vedai Sanga Padakramo Panishate Gayantiyam Samagaha. All the Vedas are saying, Dhyana Vastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyantiyam Yoginaha. All the yogis are seeing the Lord, Krishna in their heart. His expansion is Paramatma. So, Yasyantun Vidasura Asura Gana Deva Yatasmai Namaha. He is beyond the reach of Sura and Asura. He is Krishna. If you want to hear from the horse's mouth, Brahma is saying, Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Shiva is saying to Parvati that Aradhananam Sarvesham Vishnu Aradhanam Param. Ganesha is removing all the Vigna Vinashaka. How? Yat Pada Pallava Yugam Vinidhaya Kumbha Dvandve Pranama Sameta Ganadi Raja. He is taking the mercy of the lotus feet of Narsammadeva, of Krishna, and removing the obstacles. So all the devatas, they accept. They stand in a line in the cold waters in Tirupati. Shri Swami Pushkarinika Prabhanirmalanga Shreyartino Hari Virincha Hara Virincha Sanandana Adya. Brahma, Shiva, Sanat Kumara, and all the others in line. Dware Vasati Varavetra Hatottamanga, to get the mercy of Sri Venkatachalapate Tava Suprabhatam. They are standing in line. Krishna is telling here, Bhoktaram Yagnat Tapasam Matta Parataram Na Anyat Kinchid Asti Dhananjaya. No one is higher than me. And Krishna will continue to say this. But we all have doubts. Right? But we should be convinced. If somebody asks, Kya Devata, demigod, this is all in your old texts. We are practical. We are a person of science. What is all of this? We can easily tell them that you don't even have the basic intelligence of a young child. Right? How? If I take a piece of paper, I think there's a piece of paper here, and if I just blow on this, it just flew. This paper is Bhumi. Bhumir apo analo vayurkham mana buddhyevacha. Krishna said, right? These are material elements, external energy. It needs a superior energy, a conscious being to make this move. We have all seen tornadoes, cyclones, wind, even uprooting houses. Wind is air. Bhumir apo analo. Unless there is a stimulus of an external higher being, how can this happen? I can take water and just make it drip here. There is rains and water is bhumi apo, just water. It needs a conscious living entity. And these living entities, who are qualified living entities, these jivatmas, are those who have been placed by the Supreme Lord to take care of the jurisdictive affairs of this material world. Just like a prime minister can have so many cabinet ministers, just like the CEO of a company can have so many directors, VPs, managers, and supervisors to take care of the affairs. Similarly, these living entities are in charge of Krishna's beautiful material creation. The current Indra is Purandara. The current Ganesha is Sanat Kumara. So like this, different living entities take the posts of the different administrative heads as devatas. So devatas are posts, not persons. Krishna is a supreme person. Nobody can become Krishna, right? We know that. But devatas are actually enjoying a very high level of sense gratification or material pleasure. Their shadow never touches this earth. Their feet never touches earth. We might go to the restroom to pass stool, right? And the Anandavalli section of Taittiriya Purana actually describes how even the Gandharvas, as they are just breathing, the wastes from their body just come out as aromatic Chanel, right? Or I don't know, the different so many perfumes, right? Like a perfume, it just evaporates from their body. Even their attraction with the opposite sex is very subtle. It's more through intellect for Brahma, more through songs and dance for the Gandharvas. It's so subtle. It is very subtle, subtler than humans, and of course, way subtler than animals. Even a rose, if you take a rose, for example, and smell a rose, right? We get some pleasure by smelling the rose. As devotees, of course, we smell the rose offered to Krishna. But when we taste something, we find some pleasure in that taste. If you think about it, if you have a stuffy nose, right? You're not well, you have a stuffy nose, and you smell the rose, you will not find the same fragrance. Why? Because your senses are blocked, stuffy. But when you're well, it smells better. Similarly, this sensory experience of any material thing, if you go down up from humans to Manushya Gandharvas, to Deva Gandharvas, to the Pitris, to Ajana Devatas, to the Karma Devatas, to the Deva Devatas, to Indra, Brihaspati, and finally Brahma. This is the way in which the pleasure and the experience of even something Jada Ananda, material pleasure, goes up. Getting into the details will take a lot of time, but suffice to say that they enjoy a high level of gratification. They are in charge of higher administrative things of the Lord. We'll take one example and go to the next section. So now a sense has been given to me, which is my eye. And there's a sense object, which is a form, right? I can see Aradhana Mataji in front of me, and many others are there. Your names, I can see the screen, I can see forms around me. So the form is a tan matra. It's a creation of the Lord, which we will describe in the 13th chapter. But it's a form, right? Tan matra, the sense object. And my sense are my eyes. So now Surya is in charge of controlling the sense of my sight. So it is by Surya's mercy that the sense object gets revealed to my eyes. How is it? Common sense. If there is no sun, and the light bulb is also an expansion of the sun's rays, which has come through his energy. I work in DT energy. So it's the energy of the nature, which is coming from the sun, which is transforming into this light bulb. Had it not been for this light bulb, even though you're present, the form is there, my eyes cannot perceive you. I cannot see you. So that control of sight is by Surya Deva. And if that mercy is gone, that karma is no longer there for a living entity, I might have my eyes, but I become blind. It's taken away. Somebody might become paralyzed, some devata in charge of the hands, the arms, the legs, the nose, taste, like Varuna Dev, right? Water. Had it not been for water, the taste of that object does not enter and transform into the taste of my tongue. So similarly, there are sense devatas, there are many, many devatas in charge of the affairs of this world. So now we have said that. Now with that, the third section here is that some living entities, why do they come to the devatas? Why don't they want to go to Krishna? Why don't they want to get purified? And sometimes when we see how these mantras are chanted, we think, wow, it is so spiritual. It is so divine. But really, Prabhupada says this is material. We might hear, we're just chanting different mantras. But really, if you are worshipping the devatas, Then the mood of the worship of the person, kamastairte hitagnyata. So that person is having a material desire and he wants two things. Number one, that I don't want to get jnana from the devata or that person. I don't want them to tell, do this, purify me, nothing. I just want this to be fulfilled, period. Number one. Number two, I want it to be done kshipram, very fast, extremely fast. Right? When these two are the desires of the person, then they will see, okay, what do I want? Based on what I want, who is the devata behind it? Okay, let me worship the devata. All I care about the devata is that I want something from this devata. That's it. If I want a long life, I will go to Ashwini Kumaras. If I want muscle, right? Rather than going to the gym, I will worship Mother Earth. If I want a beautiful wife, right, then I will go to the Apsaras. If I want nice progeny, I will go to the Prajapatis. If I want nice marital relationships, I'll go to Uma. Like this, different devatas. Canto 2, chapter 3, text 2 to 7 describes all the different devatas and what all they can provide. So they only care about what I get from the devatas. Tesham tvantva papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukto bhajate mam dhridavrata. To worship Krishna with determination. Tesham antagatam papam. Your papa, your sinful activity should have gone down considerably. Jananam punya karmanam. Enough pious credits. Dvandva moha nirmukta. You should be nirmukta of dvandva and moha. So it is very difficult. It is not ordinary to become a devotee of the Lord. Bhoga Ishwarya Prasaktanam Taya Apahrita Chetasam Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Samadau na Vidiyate. If you have desire, oh, I want this, I want this car, after that I want this model of the car, and oh, she looks even more beautiful, I want to enjoy her, I want to enjoy this post, I want these many followers, I want this. If so many desires are there, it kills the mood to serve Krishna. You will not have the desire to serve Krishna. Krishna went as a Shanti Dut, we all know, to Duryodhana. And Krishna gave his knowledge to Duryodhana. Duryodhana said, Are Baba Krishna, keep this Jnana to your friend Arjuna. I don't want to know all of this. Actually, you know what? I know all of this. Duryodhana says, Janami dharmam nachame nivritti, janami papam nachame pravritti. Yene kenepi devena hridistitena yatha niyuktosmi tata karomi. He's saying, Janami dharmam, I know what is to be done, Krishna. You don't need to give me a huge lecture on what is to be done. Janami papam, I know what is bad. I know what is good. But kenepi devena hridistitena, there's something in my heart that is pulling me to do this. And I cannot help it, Krishna. So they don't come to the Lord. Ravan, before the war, Ravan went to meet Bali Maharaj in Sutala. And he said, some tricks of the trade. I need some tips. How do I defeat Ramachandra and his vast army? You know what happened? 3 monkeys, they finished me up completely. Angad, the son of Vali, he came to my court and he challenged me, the little Angad. I dare you to lift my leg. I will hold my breath, chanting the names of Rama, and put my foot on the ground. And if you can lift my feet, I and the entire Vanar Sena and Rama, we will retreat and go away. And I was laughing at him, O Bali Maharaj. Ravan is saying, none of my sons, my ministers, my brothers, nobody, neither could Indrajit lift, nor could I lift. And he said, if the name of Sri Ram can infuse me with so much power that you can't even lift my feet, what to speak of Ram himself? Sugriva came and spat at my face and ran away before this war. And he also said that one monkey, Hanuman, burnt my whole Lanka. If 3 monkeys can do this, what's my state? I need some tips. I cannot surrender to Rama. And what did Bali Maharaj say? He said, okay, before that, there's a mountain of gold outside. Do you want to take a look? He went out and saw there was a huge mountain of gold. His eyes are sparkling. And he said, actually, Bali Maharaj, sorry, actually, I was just making some small talk. I came to you for this gold. This is what I wanted. Can I lift and take it? He said, yeah, if you can lift, take. And Ravan goes, he tries to lift. He's not able to lift. He says, I have lifted Kailas. Huh? What is this? I'm not able to lift this mountain of gold. Bali Maharaj says, come back. And he takes him back and shows, look, this is a earring of yours. He said, what, mine? He said, yes, when you came as Hiranyaksha, Varahadev, with one slap of your left cheek, one tight slap, the earring from Garbhodaka ocean came flying here to Sutala. It has been staying here for so many generations. And you are not able to lift your own earring. Your strength has diminished. That Varahadev is now none other than Krishna, are here now Ramachandra. And you and his strength has kept increasing. His energies are ever increasing, and you want to defeat him and take tips from me. You just go back, you fool. I know what will happen. And that same Ramachandra who came as Krishna, he is getting chastised by Maya Yashoda. She is saying, Panka Vishakta Sakalam Vayavan Milokya, Damodaram Vashati, Kopa Vashat Yashoda, Tuam Sukarosi. When Krishna is completely filled with mud, the beautiful chandan, aguru, tilak, and all the scented oils that Mother Yashoda has put, Krishna has smeared it with the dust of gobar and cow urine, and she's asking, were you a pig? Krishna says, yes, Maya. Shushmita Mukhena Vadunam Murare. He's saying, yes, I used to be pig, Varahadev, in my past life. So this is Krishna. But the point is, whether it's Ravana or whether it is Hiranyakashipu or Duryodhana, they will not surrender to the Lord because they only want some material benediction from the Lord, from the Devatas. They don't want to surrender to Krishna. Papa Yonayaha. They are filled with material desires. So now the question is, Bhagavad Gita describes that these people are very foolish. Why? Because they are these people who are worshipping demigods. Yamimam pushpitam vacham prabadanti avapaschitaha pushpitam vacham. They're saying, oh, flowery language of the Vedas. Vedas have such nice flowery languages. Wow, I can get this. Oh, I can just swipe this and get a penthouse in Times Square. That's a great deal. Right? They're reading all these pages of the Vedas. Avapaschita, but they're foolish. Veda vadarata partha na kinchid asti iti vadinaha. There is nothing more than this, they argue. Kamatmana swargapara. With this, I can even go to the heavenly planets, they start arguing. They are of less intelligence. Why? If you go to a prison cell and tell all the prisoners, I am the head jailer today and I am going to give you one chance. Whatever you want, it will be granted. So one prisoner will come and say, are you sure, Prabhuji? Whatever? Says, yes, today is Independence Day. Anything you want, you can ask. And that person says, एक extra soap मिलेगा. साबुन खत्म हो जाता है 1 महीना का. Says, yes, of course, he gets the soap. One more person says, एक extra blanket मिलेगा. बहुत ठंडी है सर्दी में, थोड़ा एक extra blanket. बोलेंगे ठीक है ले लो. But this other person says, पक्का कुछ भी पूछो मिल जाएगा. 100%. You said, yes, I want to get out of this prison house. That is the most intelligent person. What is the point of getting some little tidbit of a sense gratification in this world? Right? We will be still in the cycle of birth and death. So that is unintelligent. Ayur harati vaipumsan udyamastau jayamasau. Ayur harati, our time is running out. This human life is so rare. Dullabam manusham dehadenam kshanabhangura. In 1 instant, everything is gone. Uttama shloka vartaya tasyahatam kshanonitaha. Every second of one's life, kshana, when it is used to glorify Krishna, to hear Krishna katha, uttama shloka vartaya, of that uttama shloka Krishna, then those minutes, seconds, hours used in absorbing Krishna katha, pravishtam karnarandrena swaham bhavasarorom, when that is used, then what happens? Then we don't go one step closer to death. We go one step closer to eternal life in the spiritual world. So that is what Krishna wants us. to get. Yad gatva na nivartante. Getting to somewhere where we never have to come back into this mrityu samsara vartmani. So that Krishna gives. But the Devatas will just give what you ask for. So what happens to some of these people? Yanti Deva Prata Devan, Pitrayanti Pitra Vrata. They will go to those specific planets of those Devas and they will enjoy Swargalokam Vishalam, huge amount of sense gratification. But that goes away very quickly. Shine Punya. Then Martyalokam Vishanti, they fall back to this material world. Taittiriya Purana explains what happens, right? There is no pregnancy in the heavenly planets. The Mataji or the Apsara, she gets pregnant once, only one time in her life. And that means that her punya is getting over. You have gone to Hawaii, you have had $20,000, 3 weeks have passed, you have stayed in the best hotels, your bank balance is empty, you're not able to pay the next day's rent in your Marriott or Hyatt or whatever hotel. They're saying Tata, goodbye, checkout time, 11 a.m. You have to get out of that place. So similarly, checkout is happening. The garland of the Deva is wrinkling, drying up, and the lady gets pregnant. That's a science, but still they're so engrossed in sense gratification, they don't realize it. And what happens? The earth below them opens up and they fall down from the heavenly planets. As they're falling down, all the pleasures that they've had for those few years, they're looking, their own consorts, their own spouses or better halves, they find another person to start enjoying the heavenly pleasures. And these people are thinking, those Bollywood songs we may think of, I cannot stay with you without you, and you are my only person. Hum tere bina kuch reh nahi sakte. All of these that you sang, now you are staying with somebody else, and this person is like tearing up, crying. And as they're falling down from the heavenly planets, there are some vicious creatures who know that food is going to fall in this way. And these creatures are devouring those heavenly bodies of these devas who have been so engrossed in their own bodily conception and enjoying these material pleasures. And as their bodies are being torn apart, they're seeing their spouses with others in the heavenly planets. They have found another partner. And with that unhappiness, with that distress, they start crying. And the soul leaves the body through those tears. And those tears mix with the clouds and it falls down as rain. And these rains enter the earth as grain and comes out and sprouts as fruits or vegetables. And it is eaten by either a human and then enters into the body of the male and enters into the body of the female. Karmana daiva nitrenam jaham deho pipattaye. So then they again take birth. Kshina punya martyalokam vishanti. The cycle keeps going on and on. So that is the unintelligent people who just want some material gratification through this process of worshipping devatas. However, there are some beautiful sections here of the 88th chapter of the 10th canto, which describes Krishna's unlimited mercy. It's described here that, yes, Brahma, Lord Shiva are very easily satisfied, but they're also very easily angered. When satisfied, they give benedictions without consideration, and when angry, they curse the devotee without consideration. But Lord Vishnu is not like that. He is very considerate. Whenever a devotee wants something from Lord Vishnu, he first considers whether such a benediction will ultimately be good for the devotee. He never bestows any benediction which will ultimately prove disastrous to the devotee. By his transcendental nature, he is always merciful, and therefore, before giving any benediction, he considers whether it will prove beneficial for the devotee or not. Since the personality of Godhead is always merciful, even when it appears that he kills a demon, right? So this is the other part. The Devatas can never give liberation from this material world. But Krishna is Hata Ari Gati Dayaka. Even if he kills the demon, he is giving them the highest benediction. So, or even when he is apparently angry towards a devotee, his actions are always auspicious. So sometimes devotees are put in tribulations. The answer is, the Lord is just like a father who sometimes becomes unkind to his sons. Because sometimes if the father is unkind to his son, the devotee is a surrendered soul and is taken charge by the Supreme Lord. When the Lord puts him in any condition of life, either happiness or distress, it is to be understood that there is a larger plan or design by the Supreme Lord behind this. So, in this way, we see how Krishna is very merciful and he looks for the ultimate benefit of the living entity. So, what does the devotee do? The devotee कृष्णा से नहीं मांगता है, वो कृष्णा से कृष्णा को ही मांगता है. तो जब कृष्णा को ही मांगता है, कृष्णा के साथ बाकी सब आ जाता है. So devotee is very chatur, very intelligent that way. And his vision, which is the last section we'll discuss, towards the devata, is that when you see a devata without being connected to Krishna, then we see him as a demigod. इससे मुझे क्या मिलेगा बस. When you see him disconnected with the Supreme, you see him as a fulfiller of your material desires. He becomes a demigod. But when you see that devata in connection with Krishna, then you don't see him as a demigod. You see him as a devotee. You see him as a great devotee. So in that mood, when devotees approach Krishna, approach the devatas, they approach them in the mood that you are so great, you are such a wonderful devotee of the Lord, you have such wonderful Vaishnava qualities. Can you please give me this benediction of becoming a better devotee of the Lord? That is the only mood of the devotee. And when we approach devata that way, their duty is to help us progress in the path of devotional service. Even for non-devotees, right, who have approached the devata not in the mood of kamas tairte hritagnyata prapadyantas anya devata. Their prapadyantas anya devata is in the mood of just serving the devata. The devata will give them the best benediction, which is being the devotee of Krishna. So many examples. Radha Gopinath Prabhu was recently sharing how he was a big devotee of Lord Shiva, and by the mercy of Lord Shiva, he came to Krishna. Many, many devotees examples. I remember that my mother used to chant Om Namah Shivaya so much when I was in the womb of my mother. And when I was getting initiated, my mother again, in ISKCON in India, there are some wrong thoughts or notions. And I was in Mayapur and I was getting initiated, and she liked Shiva. And she was like, he's becoming a devotee of Krishna. Oh my Lord, somehow I want him to be a devotee of Shiva also. And then I told her my initiated name, Advaita, which is the name of Sadashiva. And she was so happy. The Guru knows the inner heart of so many people. So sometimes, and through that, now she's become a devotee. There are, I'm sure, innumerable examples. Lord Shiva is always chanting Shri Rama Govinda Mukunda Shaure Shri Krishna Narayana Vasudeva Ityadi Nama Mrita Panamatha. He's enjoying the Panamatha, the beautiful nectar of all these names of Shri Rama Govinda Mukunda Shaure Shri Krishna Narayana Vasudeva. Bringa Dipa Akhila Dukkha Hantri is removing all the troubles as the humble bumblebee is tasting the nectar of the flowers in the form of the holy names, is removing all the obstacles of the devotees. That is the mood of Lord Shiva. He is praying to become a piece of stone in Vrindavan Dham, Nandishwar Parvat. Brahma is praying to the Lord. He's praying and he's saying that his 4 heads have become the 4 hills of Varsana. Like this, all the devatas, when we see them in connection to Krishna, then the mood of approaching the devatas is so different. Just like Rukmini approached Ambika, the gopis did Katyayani Vrata. So Prabhupada initially didn't tell the devotees to worship the devatas or pay obeisances when he brought them to India also. But once they understood their position of the devatas and Krishna, then he said, now you can pay obeisances, worship them, and then understand how, in what mood to approach the devatas. So, like this, a lot more can be said. I know it's an hour speaking in boring you all, so I think I'll stop here. The last thing I'll just maybe conclude with is this one slide that I had. There is this beautiful verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, which describes actually if when we want to see the mood of the devatas with the vision of a devotee, we have all seen this beautiful, famous picture of Rasa Leela, right, of Krishna. And actually, Sharad Purnima is coming up in a few days. And here you can see on top, there is this aeroplane, and there are devatas along with their spouses, and they have come to see this beautiful pastimes of Krishna. The demigoddesses are hearing the flute of Krishna. And what is happening? It's amazing. When you or me want to go and get association with the devotees or darshan of the Lord, what do? Savai mana Krishna padarai vandeyo vachamsi vaikunta gunanuvardhane karau hari mandira marjanadishu shrutim chakarachyuta satkatodaye. With my ears, I'm hearing Krishna katha. With my hands, I'm cleaning Krishna's temple. With my eyes, drishyao, I'm seeing the beautiful features of the Lord. We have to go to the temple to do that, the association of devotees. But these devatas, Krishna's pastimes, Mridayanti yuge yuge, Sambhavami yuge yuge, Sambhavami atmavayaya, from his internal potency, his pastimes in the material world is continuously going on. So they come in their aeroplanes. And rather than going to the temple to see the Archa Vigraha Murti, they can see Krishna personally. They can see Krishna's pastimes going on. They can hear the sound of Krishna's flute. Krishnam niriksha vanitotsava rupa shilam Shrutva cha tatkvanitavenu vivikta geetam. Devyo. Who are Devyo? The wives of these devatas. They are sitting on the laps of their husbands in this beautiful, as you can see up here, these aeroplanes. Krishnam niriksha. They are actually observing. Vanita, those vanitas, those beautiful ladies, they're watching Krishna. And every single thing that Krishna does is an utsava, is a burst of celebration. As I'm speaking today, right now in the temple, which is 20 seconds from my house, there is this Dashara Utsava going on. And very soon there will be a 24-hour Kirtan in New Vrindavan, Kartik, Sharad Purnima, and then all the festivities. Prabhupada made this such that every day Prabhupada said there should be a festival that we can completely absorb. Tanuvak Manobir, our mind, body, and words, our BMW, right? Giving our BMW to the Lord. Not the BMW car, but my body, mind, and words. So here, Krishna, it's Utsava, what Krishna is doing. What is Utsava? His Rupa, his beautiful form, his Sheela, his beautiful characters, and his beautiful pastimes. Shrutva Chatkvanita, they're hearing all of these, they're seeing all of this. Venu Vivikta Geetam, they're hearing the flute sound of Krishna. And Devyo Vimana Gataya Smaranunna Sara. What's happening to them? Brashyad Prasuna. The hairs on their beautiful hair, the flowers on their hair is falling down. And Kabara Mumurur Vinirvya. Their waist belts are getting loose and their clothes are slipping. The acharyas describe that they are in separation from Krishna. So much so that they are missing Krishna so much, and they're losing weight, and their belts are becoming loose, right? Sometimes, even in this material world, we see when there is a catastrophe in our lives, we don't want to eat, we don't want to sleep, we completely are dilapidated. Their bodies are like that, in separation from Krishna. So when we see the devatas in that vision, then the whole paradigm changes. Some acharyas describe that even to the leelas that apparently we think that the devatas are fallen, those pastimes also have a different angle sometimes. There are so many Indras also come and go. There are so many pastimes that happen. Sometimes it happens that Krishna has to teach lessons to all of us through the leaders, through Indra. So sometimes Indra is showering rains and flooding Vrindavan. And everybody thinks Indra is the villain. But sometimes to understand Krishna's supremacy, for the whole universe to understand it, Indra has to take the part of the villain so that although his character is defamed for eternity, for a long time, he has served his beloved master. How amazing is that service? Sachi Sutta Prabhu, one brahmachari who was living with me in the temple in Detroit long back, he was telling me his days as a new brahmachari in Mayapur. And him and the other brahmachari boys in brahmachari training, they're standing in line to the Surab kitchen for lunch prasadam. They're looking here and there. They have just come from their villages to Mayapur, and Mayapur is bursting with so much energy, so many people, Americans, Europeans, from Russians, everyone is coming. And of course, from the village, they've never seen, right? Such a festive atmosphere. And these brahmacharis in the training, new Bhakta training, this Prabhuji, he was just looking around, and the senior leader chastised him. Prabhuji, आपका आंख किधर जा रहा है? खूबसूरत स्त्री देख लिया आप? And he's shouting at them. There's a beautiful girl walking by, and you are looking there. And immediately everybody else start standing in line with their eyes fixed on the next devotee in front of them. Then बाद में प्रभु जी आके पूछे, प्रभु जी मैं तो कुछ नहीं किया, मैं बस मायापुर देख रहा था. तो वो लीडर बोला कि हाँ प्रभु जी पता है, मुझे क्षमा कीजिए, आप नहीं देख रहे थे, बाकी सब देख रहे थे, तो आपको डांटना पड़ा कि आपको डांटने के बाद बाकी सब लोग ठीक हो गए. तो he was the scapegoat. And he said, प्रभु जी, since then everybody think I'm fallen, but I had to do, this was my service, right? Similarly, that's the service of many devatas. When our vision is that, then we will actually take shelter of them. And the mood of the devotee is to see good when there is bad also. What to speak of these devatas who are performing wonderful services? In that mood, when we approach the devatas, we get mercy from the devotees of the Lord. And in that way, a devotee never wants anything from the devatas. द्वादश चंद्र कृतस्थल मंगल बुद्ध विरुद्ध सुरगुरु बंका यदि दशम भवन में भृगुसुत नंद निकेतु जन्म का अंक अष्टम राहु चतुर्थ दिवमणि तो ही हरिवंशत करतन शंखा. Every planetary system and every planet may be malicious in your chart, right? Still, a devotee never wants to go and tries to appease Rahu and Ketu and Buddha and all the different planetary systems. Harivanchita Karatana Shankar, Jo Krishna Charana Mana Arpita. When you put your mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, Usaka Kaha Navagraha Ranka. What can these Navagrahas do? Maybe one lifetime you might go through some distress, but then the devotee steps, or pure devotee steps on the head of these devatas, of death personified, and enters into the heavenly, into the Goloka Vrindavana planets through the aeroplane. However, if person tries to just make their little life a little better by appeasing all the devatas, maybe a little less dukkha in this life, but the same navagrahas will, with folded hands, take that soul into the womb of the next mother. Punarapi jananam, punarapi janani, punarapi janani jatari shayanam. So we are stuck in this ocean of birth and death like that. So a devotee never wants to engage his desires in wanting to fulfill one's own material desires. So in that way, we approach the devatas. And this, as Krishna describes, is the third level of one who approaches the devatas, because they still approach the devatas within the realm of Vedic tradition. So, and then in the future verses, Krishna talks about those who have a very wrong conception of Krishna, impersonal and a Mayavadi conception of Krishna, how they are even more lower, which the next speaker would cover. Stop here. Again, please forgive me if I spoke anything wrong with my very limited realization. Thank you very much for your time and for this opportunity to speak Krishna Katha. Very grateful. Vansha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
For such a wonderful session, and making the session very light with your jokes, like always. Will you have some time for question and answers? If in case somebody has any questions, Prabhuji. Devotees, if you have any questions regarding today's session, okay. Prem Priya Padma Mataji, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Amazing lecture. Always, Prabhuji, amazing lecture. Prabhuji, a very silly question. Prabhuji, can you give me a brief difference between Mukti Kami, Bhukti Kami, and another one is, third one is Mukti, Bhukti, and
Bhukti, bhukti, mukti, and bhakti.
Bhakti. Yes, Bhakti Kami. Can you give
So,
me a difference?
a karmi or a karma kandi is one who wants to use religion or the scriptures or the Vedas to fulfill their material desires. So उनको कुछ चाहिए खुद के लिए, तो वो जाते हैं, they go to the devatas to fulfill their material desires. तो वो है भुक्ति. मैं कुछ कर रहा हूँ, उसका बदला में मुझे कुछ चाहिए, मुझे कुछ gratification चाहिए, या इस लाइफ में और next life I want to go to those planets and enjoy a higher level of sense gratification with a better body, heavenly body suited for that gratification. तो मुझे कुछ चाहिए, क्योंकि इस भौतिक दुनिया में कुछ तो सुख है, वो सुख का अनुभव करने के लिए कुछ चाहिए. So that is bhukti. Right? Krishna starts the Bhagavad Gita with talking about bhukti and getting them to karma yoga, doing the activities but giving the fruits to Krishna. So that is the initial section. So that is bhukti. मुक्ति जो होता है वो है कि मैं देख लिया इस दुनिया में कुछ नहीं है मेरे लिए, that I can really enjoy forever. क्षीण सुखम महर दुखम, थोड़ा सुख के लिए बहुत दुख का अनुभव करना पड़ता है. So I don't want anything for myself. Actually, I am not even a product of this material enjoyment. It is actually a mirage. It is only the endeavor for gratification that is trying to make me run like a donkey behind this carrot. I don't want this anymore. So I am made of something higher, spiritual. And I also know that my source is also the supreme spirit. वो ब्रह्मन है, वो मेरा source है. So I want to enter into the Brahman, merge into the Brahman. So this mukti is looking higher and saying कि मुझे ये दुख नहीं चाहिए, मुझे इससे मुक्ति चाहिए. I want to get rid of all miseries. And how will I do that? Because I don't have a realization of personal God. God is Brahman, is the effulgence, Sarvavyami. That Brahman effulgence, मुझे उसके अंदर जाना है, उसके साथ एक बनना है, and उससे मुझे मुक्ति मिल जाएगा ऐसा परेशानियों से. तो I want to become one with you. So both of them have me in the center. मुझे कुछ चाहिए या मुझे ये दुख नहीं चाहिए. Right? But beyond that is bhakti, where it is not about me, it is about you, Krishna. If taking dust from my feet and putting it on your head will relieve you of headache, then I will go to the hellish planets for so many lifetimes. That is the mood of the gopis. I don't care what happens to me. You embrace me, you reject me. You take me with you, or you keep me here in this material world only. This doesn't matter. Anya abhilashita shunya. मेरे लिए कुछ अभिलाष नहीं है. सिर्फ भक्ति मतलब जीव गोस्वामी gives the definition, भज इत्येत वैधातु सेवायाम परिकीर्तिता. भज उसका जो धातु है, भक्ति, भक्त, भजन का धातु है भज, उसका क्या है, सेवायाम परिकीर्तिता. इट हैज अ सिनोनिम विथ सर्विस. मुझे बस आपका सेवा करना है, बस मैं आपका दास हूं. भृत्य भृत्य, I'm only your servant of your servant. दासा दासा अनुदासा. That's it. That's why Prabhupada calls it as devotional service. Right? क्योंकि उसमें सेवा है. सेवा क्यों? क्योंकि आप, you are a person, I am a person. If there are two people, तभी सेवा होगा. अगर मैं एक बन जाऊंगा, वो impersonalist philosophy में, I become one with God, I merge into the Brahman, then I am one. Right? सेवा नहीं होता है. तो that is, one is bhukti. मेरे लिए क्या? मुक्ति, छुटकारा मिलना है, आपके साथ एक बन जाना है. उसके साथ बहुनाम जन्मनाम अंते ज्ञानवान मम प्रति. वो ज्ञानी को पता चलेगा, अरे मैं क्या सोच रहा था, अरे भगवान तो ये है, तो इसके साथ रस और कितना है. Then you get into the different rasas. All of this has been put in one verse of Nectar of Instruction, right? That कर्मिभ्यो परा हरे प्रियतया. हरि को क्या, कौन प्रिय है? कर्मिभ्यो मतलब जो भुक्ति चाहते हैं, मुझे 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 मुझे. कर्मिभ्यो परा हरि प्रियतया व्यक्तुम ययुर ज्ञानिनस. जो पढ़ाई करता है, he's trying to read Vedas, he's trying to understand God, he's trying to find out who he is, wanting to merge with God. कर्मिभ्य परा हरे प्रियतया व्यक्तुम ययुर ज्ञानिनस तेभ्यो ज्ञान विमुक्ति भक्ति परमो. उससे भी परम जो है वो ज्ञान विमुक्त भक्ति. ये ज्ञान से मुक्ति होके भक्ति में आ जाता है। प्रेमैक निष्ठास्थ था, उससे भी तो ऊपर है, who has attained prema or love of Godhead, higher than devotion service, which is devotion service in love of Godhead. Tebhyo pashupadu pankaj drishay, higher than that are those gopis of Vrindavan who are missing Krishna, who is going into the cowherd pastures. Tebhyopi Sri Radhika, and of all of them the highest is Sri Radhika. And he also says, Radha Kunda Mehapi Gokulapater Premamrita Pramanad. That is the epitome of prema. And to taste that, Krishna came in the mood of Radharani, where he took this bhakti to the highest levels. Right? So,
Haribol. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. And see, आप हिंदी में भी क्लास अच्छे से दे देते हैं प्रभु. Thank you so much for everything. प्रभु जी, इसको जो आपने अभी बताया उसमें प्रभु जी एक एग्जांपल वो ठीक रहेगा जो सूरज वाला अपन एग्जांपल देते हैं, द शैडो वेयर वी गो, द ब्रह्म जो लीन हो जाते हैं भगवान की रोशनी में, राइट? तो वो भगवान, वो सूर्य भगवान, सूर्य जी का मतलब
रेस होता है, किरण होता है।
हाँ, किरण हुआ। जो खुद एक प्लेनेट है, जो सूर्य भगवान खुद हैं, वो आपके भक्त हो गए, है ना? जो आपने जिनका एग्जांपल दिया,
वो परमात्मा है, वो परमात्मा
है, राइट? तो प्रभु जी जो भुक्ति हुए वो शैडो हुए ना?
तो भुक्ति हुए, yes, it's without Krishna, right? So there is no spiritual aspect. That's why Prabhupada calls this, the last sentence of this third verse number 22. Prabhupada बोलते हैं कि 22 में last paragraph, for the living entity who desires to return to Godhead, material desires are impediment. The sentence before that, devotional service to the Supreme Lord and the worship of demigod cannot be on the same platform, because worship of demigod is material and devotional service to the Supreme Lord is completely spiritual. तो ये जो है भुक्ति जो है, चाहे आप आपके लिए कुछ एंजॉय करने के लिए ट्राई कर रहे हैं या आप देवता के पास जाके उसको कुछ मांग रहे हैं, दैट इज कंप्लीटली यस द शैडो, यू कैन से, राइट? कृष्ण सूर्य समा माय हाय अंधकार, जहां कृष्ण ताई माया नाय अधिकार, राइट? सो इट इज इन द शैडो, यस. Then mukti is the merging with the rays of the Lord. And the sun globe is the Paramatma feature. Jnana avastita tadgatena manasa pashyantyam yoginah, that yogis are looking in. And the sun god is the example for the Supreme Lord himself in his full splendor. Vadanti tatvedavidas tattam taddatam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti uchyate. So the three levels, yes. So we want to go from the sun rays merging to relationship with the sun god, or in this case Krishna as a person. Yes. Thank you, Babuji.
Thank you so much. Amazing. Thank you, Babuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madhuri. Radha Govinda Mataji, can you unmute?
Hi Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Your class was very wonderful. My question was that you were mentioning about Shiva and Brahma, that they get pleased very easily and they get angry also very easily. But Vishnu, he first thinks that the thing which we want, is it anukul for our own self. So Prabhuji, so you were mentioning these points from Krishna book. The reference is Krishna book.
Those slides that I put, yes, that is from Krishna book, chapter number 88. So 10th canto has 90 chapters. Each of the chapter has been one chapter of the Krishna book. So the 88th chapter of the Krishna book. The story of Shiva and Vrikasura, who becomes Bhasmasura, right? And he takes the Vardhan leta hai. He gets the benediction from Shiva, and then he wants to put his head on Shiva's head only to burn him to ashes so that he can enjoy Uma, material energy, Parvati Devi, right? So yes, in that section, all of these very beautiful description of Devatas and Krishna and their mood and Krishna's mood. If devotee goes through problems, why are they going through? Is it by their karma or is it by Krishna's intervention? How can we understand that the Pandavas went through so much? And how can we come to terms with, did they really suffer, right? They actually did not suffer on one level, right? If अगर थोड़ा सा anesthesia हम लेंगे तो पूरा ऑपरेशन के बारे में पता ही नहीं चलेगा हमें. So For on the bodily platform, if an anesthesia can protect me from suffering, when their mind is at the lotus feet of Krishna, Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayo, then how can they suffer on any platform? But externally, they went through different tribulations. Why was that? That was Krishna's bigger plan, right? And they were a part of Krishna's bigger plan. So similarly in our life, Krishna has a bigger plan. And sometimes the reversals might seem like, why is this happening to me? But there's a bigger plan. Tattenu kampam. Krishna tab kampta hai. The Acharya has described how much we are suffering. Krishna suffers more along with us in our distress also. If you understand Krishna's mood and how Krishna is helping us. I've been a worm in the stool and Krishna has been in my heart. Krishna has been waiting for me, fulfilling every material desire. But still Krishna is waiting. When will I turn towards him? When I'm turning towards him, will Krishna want to give me any suffering? No, Krishna wants to give eternal happiness. So that Prabhupada is very beautifully described. Sukadeva Goswami has described. Yes. Krishna book 88.
Yes, okay. Yes, Prabhuji, I had very small one more question. Can I ask you?
Please.
Prabhuji, like you mentioned that the worshipping of demigods is material and worshipping of Krishna is actually spiritual. So, because we are asking demigods for our material desires, but Prabhuji, there are some people who are worshipping demigods with Nishkam Bhav. So, is that also considered material or is it spiritual?
Yes, so when we said material here, it is for this verse, Kamasthita. When you have a desire, I don't care who you are. I know that you have this power. I know that, Aradhana Mataji said, my friend, she's CEO of an IT company. I want a job there. So I am now going to be her friend because she can get me a job. I don't care about her. I care about the job, right? So in that mood, if you are having a relationship, if you are worshipping the Devata, that is fully material. Now, if you approach the Devata without any kama or without any specific desire, then what happens? Then gradually, with the Nishkama Bhava, that Devata has a responsibility. The Devata has a responsibility to fulfill desires and administer, but they also have a responsibility to connect you with their master. Because they are great devotees and they will make an arrangement by which you can meet the devotee of the Lord, and it might not be in the time frame that we are looking at, may not be in that 1 year, 2 years, but that is not considered material for a person who's ignorant, right? But if I know and still I'm just going to the Devatas because I'm envious of Krishna, then that's different. But to answer your question, yes, then it's not material. It is a journey.
Naturally,
that's a journey in that spiritual progress, right? Where gradually they have not accepted a person, right? If you, and Mahaprabhu explains this to Rupa Goswami in great detail in Dashashwamedha Gatha, where how a person is completely materialistic, he's completely animalistic, then slowly he comes to Veda Mukhamane, where he's understanding some amount, ठीक है, मैं अच्छा आदमी हूँ, मैं बस क्रिकेट मैच देखता हूँ, टी पीता हूँ, खाना खाता हूँ, मेरा बेटी का बर्थडे बनाता हूँ, तो मैं बहुत अच्छा हूँ. तो that is one level. Then gradually he evolves to become a dharmachari. कुछ तो धर्म, ठीक है, मैं ये श्रद्धा करूंगा, ठीक है, रविवार में मैं कुछ फास्टिंग करूंगा, because of some reason from Devata, right? His faith is building. And if you actually read the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada describes that in the purport, right? How Devatas, right, are providing so many things. So we do yagna for the Devatas. Yagnad bhavati, Annad bhavati bhutani parjanyat anna sambhava, yagnat bhavati parjanyo yagna karma samudbhavaha. How that cycle happens. Slowly one starts accepting the Devatas in a more selfless manner. Then gradually they come to the platform of jnana and bhakti. Or if you have a devotee's mercy, directly to bhakti. So yes.
okay.
So that is their journey of evolution towards bhakti. So in that sense, it is spiritual. But if the mood is, I don't care about all of this, like Ravana, right? He just wants Shiva's benediction. That's it. Hiranyakashipu is envious of Vishnu. Vishnu has killed my brother, so I am going to kill him. His blood is going to flow on my lands. Those are like Prabhupada's words. It is so ghastly. And in that mood is worshipping Brahma. So, of course, that is completely material. But it's not a 1 or 0. It's not black or white, right? It's the different shades of gray. So to the extent,
means Yes, yes, Prabhuji, continue.
No, I just said to the extent where it is without expecting desires, to that extent, they can easily connect, the Devata can connect them to the Supreme Lord.
Okay, means naturally devatas take the responsibility of the devotee to connect to Krishna, right?
Yes, if they, exactly, correct. Yeah, unless the devotee is approached only for something, I just want this from you, that's all. Right? If they approach it that way, then of course the Devata will just give that, like how Vrikasura, Bhasmasura wanted a benediction and Shiva gave it to him. But the vision of the Devatas are also very pure, actually. One thief, he saw a golden bell in the alaya of Lord Shiva, Shiva's temple. And the bell was hung right in the center. It was a golden bell. He put a ladder here, ladder there at night. He could not reach the bell. It was right in the center of the ceiling, right above Shivalinga. So he stood on the Shivalinga to get the golden bell and steal it. Lord Shiva appeared. And he got scared. He said, "Oh, no, my lord. I was just taking this down to wipe it and cleanse it just for you only. I'm doing your service." Lord Shiva said, then Shiva said, yeah, of course. You are such a dear devotee of mine. People offer Ganga Jala or Bilva Patra. You are offering your whole body to me. When you stood on me, I saw that you offered your complete self to me. I am so pleased with you. Tell me what you want. Means by that association of Shiva, right? Then they gradually get purified also. So the mood of the Lord is of even the Devatas are that they're devotees. But of course, if a person comes with material desire, they only fulfill the material desire. But if they come with, Radha Gopinath Prabhu was describing, he would go to the Shiva temple every weekend and he would just sweep the temple whole day, like morning to afternoon, the courtyard in Mumbai, I think, or in Karnataka, I forget where. And he would do this for years. And through the mercy of Shiva, he came in touch with the devotees and met Radhanath Maharaj. And now he's such a charismatic. All the 7 sessions that we study are all his mercy, right? So just by doing that, right? So, and he didn't have any desire. He just wanted to serve. And Shiva made those arrangements. Right? So Katyayani made those arrangements, Rukmini Devi and like that, the gopis. Yes.
Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your wonderful explanation. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Madhuri. Thank you, Prabhuji. iPhone 2020. Can you unmute yourself?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Very beautiful lecture. I, for once, after a long time, managed to concentrate for the whole lecture, practically. Usually my mind is wandering. You basically did already answer my question. I was going to ask you, I've been told that Shankar Bhagwan is my Istadev, so I should go to him. But for a long time, I've always wanted Krishna. So I don't do my Mondays I'm supposed to do, but then when I do some things, I go through like Shankar Bhagwan and I say, can you have Krishna help me? Can I go through you to Krishna? Is that what you're basically, but it's for, sometimes it's for a material benefit, something personal, but I have such a guilty conscience that I should go straight to Krishna. I should trust him completely, but that doesn't happen all the time. And then when I remember, I'm like, oh, why can't I just forget all the devtas and go straight to Krishna? So my question is, what? I'm confused. I'm not. It's both.
So I mean, there's no need to feel guilty about it. Of course, in Harihara Kshetra in Mayapur, right, there is Hari and Hara in one deity, right? And that place, anybody who gives up the body, the Shankar Bhagwan personally comes and chants the name of Gauranga in your ears. So that is the mood of Shankar Bhagwan. In Kashi Vishwanath, anybody leaves the body, he comes and chants the name of Rama in your ears. So he is the greatest devotee. Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. So he's the greatest devotee of the Lord. So in that mood, right, how I can, and even of course he was as Gopeshwar Mahadev, right? He entered and he changed his species also, like as a gopi to enter into Rasa Leela dance. So he's a great devotee of the Lord, the greatest devotee of Krishna. So in that mood, right, of course, if you need some help, you can, the prayer can be something like, Krishna is so dear to you, Lord Shankar Bhagwan or Shiva. So please give me your mercy so that I can also follow in your footsteps. I can also chant Krishna's holy names incessantly. In this place, Chakleshwar, in Govardhan, Sanatan Goswami used to chant the names of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And Shankar Bhagwan used to go there in person to just get association of Sanatan Goswami. And then his wife, like Parvati, would ask, do a Zoom call. Why do you want to go in person there? But he would be like, no, Zoom network doesn't work. I need to go in person. And when Sanatan Goswami left that place because of a mosquito problem, he said, don't worry, I will get the demigod in charge of mosquitoes to take away his followers, mosquitoes, from that place where you're chanting your holy names. So I can continue to come and chant the holy names of the Lord. So in that mood, he's always chanting the holy names of Krishna. He is coming as Gopeshwar Mahadev. He's a great devotee of the Lord. So in that mood, when you approach, right, you can ask him, how can I be selfless in my service to Krishna? Right? In that mood, when you approach, there is nothing wrong. But understanding the philosophy, right, in the sense that Krishna is finally the source of Shiva also, through Balaram, Sadashiva, Shambhu Tattva, and he's the ultimate source. And in that mood, right, you might connect with someone. I met one person last week at the temple here, a Bengali family, and they loved both Shankar Bhagwan and Krishna so much. They named their son Krishiv. Yes, that's a different name I've never heard before. They said, I love Krishna and we love Shiva. We couldn't choose, so Krishiv. I told them, please come to Bhakti Vriksha and you can hear more about both Krishna and Shiva's glories. And so yes, nothing to feel wrong about. Actually, being a devotee of the devotee of the devotee is a higher place than just being a direct devotee. But knowing and understanding that Krishna is here. Yeah.
Right.
Goal and all and all. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
No, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji. We have no more questions, Prabhuji. If we have your permission, can we wind up today's call?
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki jai. Granthrat Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji, once again for accepting our invitation and enlightening us on these verses. Thank you, dear devotees, for attending today's session, and we will see you tomorrow for our Nectar of Instruction session with His Holiness Hanumat Prakshak Swami Maharaj. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavata Pranam.